Welcome back to my brand new series covering my fourth
Seawolves, good evening. I hope that you can hear me. And let me see. Mhm. Is this? Yeah. There we go. Hello. And I hope you can also see me. So today we're coming to you live. It's a bit of an experiment, but should be good. And it saves me some time because we don't have to render the whole show. So that way, when I have a day when I don't have that much time, we can still do the show, but live. So a bit of an experiment today, but bear with me and we'll see how it goes. Lots of different items to get to. So I think we're just going to dive pretty straight in. We had, of course, some very interesting news today that Jean Lacam, where is he? Let me find out here, has kind of really adopted a bird on board. Really fun. So I think that's a good toast for today. Hope you're ready for this. I hope you have something delicious in your Seawolf cup. Here we go, wolves. Let me get my finger on the mouse here so I can start this in. 3, 2, 1. Cheers, wolves.
Voilà, on va aller voir si Albert est toujours là. Bonjour Albert, je t'amène de l'eau. Je sais pas s'il est... Clac, clac, clac. Albert. Albert, mon petit chou. Regarde. Regarde, je t'amène de l'eau. Albert. N'aie pas peur. N'aie pas peur, mon cœur. Tiens, regarde. Albert. Regarde. Si tu veux, j'ai mis un grand verre parce que, avec son grand bec. Regarde. Tiens, regarde. 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 Albert. Il est un petit peu... Je vais pas te faire de mal, Albert. Regarde. Albert. Regarde. Tu vois? Oh là là! Albert! Il est beau, Albert. Alors. Albert. Regarde. Regarde mon petit cœur. Je te laisse, regarde, je te laisse ça, si tu veux boire, bah tu pourras boire. Je te laisse tranquille. Voilà. Regarde ça, s'il n'est pas beau, Albert. L'autre, t'es beau. Allez, je te laisse tranquille. On va pas renverser ma tasse, hein. Mais bon, j'en ai une autre, hein, au cas où. Hein. Clac, clac, clac. Clac, clac, clac. Non, clac, clac, clac. Donc voilà, bah c'était Albert. Albert qui est venu nous rendre visite, nous donner un coup de main à faire les réparations dont on a engagé les travaux. Et puisqu'on est là, je vais vous faire un petit clac, clac, clac. Ça, voilà, c'est le lashing qu'on a fait pour la réparation, tant qu'à faire. Clac, clac, clac. Donc voilà. Bon, bah écoutez, encore une journée de plus, et puis on avance. Allez, je vous embrasse. À plus. Ciao.
Yeah, so here you see him in the picture. Jean Lecam's bird. Very funny animal. And of course, this is something that happens quite often on long sea voyages, finding birds that have lost their way, that have ventured out too far into sea and are not able to get back to land. And of course, if they jump in the water, they run a lot of risk of being eaten. So when a boat comes by, they often seek shelter. It's something that you often see also with ocean crossings, that birds will sometimes come on board. And often they will stay for a while, sometimes several days, because sometimes they've been out there for many days, kind of near death, completely tired. And then they just need a few days to recuperate. And then when they feel better, they just fly off. Or when land is good, they fly off. Anyway, pretty fun to see. We have also a really cool update from Sam Goodchild, who is now, I guess, in position 1 in the fleet, so he's officially number 4. But he's managed again to get a little bit ahead of Jeremy Bijou, for now at least. Take a look.
Hello everyone, it's Sam on Vulnerable. So yeah, just coming into this area of less wind, the high pressure ridge. So it's the last bit of calm before the finish, because the last 4 or 5 days are going to be pretty intense by the looks of it. The weather's not looking very kind to us, and I don't really know which way we're going to go around it yet. But we'll figure it out. So it's the last bit of calm, so making the best to get all the sails out. We'll give them a dry, and then when we go downwind, we'll get to the back of the boat. I'll go have a look around downstairs as well, make sure everything's okay structurally, and everything's in the right place before the last 4 or 5 days, which are going to be fairly intense. So I'll go show you around. See ya. Hello, and here we are by the keel hydraulic system. This is the keel pump and the keel ram. So just checking all this out, making sure there's no hydraulic leaks or anything. And up here we got the foil system. So yeah, just having a full check of everything, and I'll go check the other side afterwards. Hello, and here we are at the back of the boat. So we got the winch system, we got the ballast system, the autopilots, the steering system, the escape hatch, a little frog. And I figured this ram was making a little bit too much noise, so I'm going to put the spare one on just for the last 2 days to be safe. So I've got the spare one here. See ya.
Yeah, so kind of cool, huh? To see a full check there. That's pretty much what the sailors are doing, or have to do every day, I should say. Just go into every nook and cranny at least once, check everything every few hours, especially the important stuff. Make sure there's no leaks, no cracks, no damages. And one sailor where that, I guess, led to a bit of a surprise today is Sam Davis, who, well, take a look at the video and we'll talk about it after. Here we go.
Je viens de casser un lashing pulley derrière, un pulley grand voie de J2. Donc le pulley il est parti en vitesse, il s'est encastré, il a ouvert une partie du cloison de cockpit. Donc il faut que je répare ça, j'ai étancifié. Donc j'ai sorti le sticker, je ralentis. Heureusement c'est pas structurel, mais j'ai un petit peu de boulot là pour colmater ces fuites avant que je peux repartir. Et ça va être, y a plein de charpes, plein de poussière, ça va être pas très agréable à faire. Quand vous rentrez là, on voit la déchirure du cockpit là. Et il faut que je détensifie ça.
Yeah, so one of those typical cases, something flying into the outer hull with a lot of water ingress, of course, if they're foiling really fast and getting a lot of water overboard. So that's why they have to just keep checking that all the time, because when you catch a problem early, usually it's a much more easier to fix. If it takes longer, it gets harder and harder every minute that you don't know about it. We also have a very cool update, I have to say, from one of our cooler sailors. Here's Conrad Coleman.
Hi there! Isn't this a crazy place to hang out? I'm currently standing on the bowsprit underneath the Code Zero. And I know it feels silly, but it's just such a cool place to come and hang out because it's so it's so rare, it's so improbable to be hanging out up here. It's fun. So of course, I'm clipped on with my spin lock harness, and I just wanted to show you the beauty of the blue. It's so pretty. We've got this incredible color of the sea right here, sparkling in the sun, and then just the sky that just goes on forever. Hello! So I think we can say that the Vendeeglobe is certainly a race of contrasts, because when you consider the freezing cold and the rage of the Southern Ocean in contrast to this 10 to 12 knots on a reach in the tropics, code 0, full main, easy peasy. The French have a funny expression to explain this, and that is that something is super easy, it's fingers in the nose, doigt dans le nez. So this is not champagne sailing, this is navigation à la doigt dans le nez. I have no idea as to the etymology of that expression. Please look that up for me, because it doesn't make any sense to me. Presumably, if you can do it with your fingers in your nose, then you don't have to concentrate too hard. But please, go look up the source of that expression for me. I have no idea. So it's pretty cool. The solar panels are kicking out the watts. Still, I don't know how many days we are into this race now. Obviously 60 something, but I don't know, 68 days or something. Still have not turned on the engine. So full solar, full hydro, although really just full solar. That's doing the job here. That's what's been running the boat. I haven't used a hydro generator in more than 2 weeks. So it's incredible. Just doigt dans le nez. Solar power, don't need to think about it. The energy is always there. It's fantastic. And then in terms of the race, well, we've finally got wind solidly from the east. Last night was a little bit tricky. I had some from the northeast, and that meant that I was sailing on a really tight angle to try and maintain the direction northwards. Tanguy and Benjamin are 140, 150 miles ahead of me, and obviously I'm doing everything that I can in terms of maintaining the boat at the highest level of its performance, but it's going to be tough to track them down, both because they're good sailors on really fast boats, and also because as the wind goes from east to southeast and takes us into the doldrums, well, that freeing, that opening of the angle is going to favor them first. So while I'm sailing on a tighter angle, they're sailing on a freer, faster angle, and likely to extend a little bit. Obviously, we've still got many thousands of miles to go, and I'm looking for every opportunity to get back at them, but it's not so easy. I'm a little bit sad for Jean Le Cam, obviously having his J2 stay and obviously getting stuck in the light winds has taken him out of contention for the moment. And yeah, my heart goes out to him. It's insane to have a J2 cable break like that. Obviously very stressful, and obviously has a big impact on his race, so I'm sorry for him. Many sailors have had problems with their J2, this sail, this cable, and that can be the problem with the furler itself. And this one here is rated 12 tons working load, so 24 tons brake load, so normally there's not an issue there. We've got this massive Dyneema lashing here, going on to 2 titanium thimbles that can hold a lot of load. So normally there's not an issue there. These are really nice pieces, so no friction. And then we've got this crazy cable here that is 20 mil thick. And that's the cable that broke on Jean. And then other sailors have had issues with the swivel or the hook up there. And so what you can see is I've got 3 cables up at the moment, the code 0, the J2 and the J3. And to maximize the security of the rig, I've already talked about this, but this is the chicken stay. This is the stay that I put up in the place of the Code Zero sail when I don't need the sail. And so that sits up there, and in the case of a failure of the J2 chain, then that will hold the rig up and keep it safe. And then also, in the case that I did lose or break a cable, then I've always got this one here. So you can see my team is prepared. 12 mil Dyneema with a brake load of almost 13 tons, 40 meters. In 2016, I used this the same piece of rope to save my rig because I had a forestay failure, and I had to splice a new one to keep the rig up, and that's what kept me going back then. And ever since, I always take this massive 12 mil piece of Dyneema with me wherever I go at sea, because I know that in the case of any significant need, I can replace any bit of standing rigging on the boat.
Yeah, so that was Conrad. Really nice effort to show the J2 and just how he's nicely screeching along the Atlantic Ocean there. Sad for Jean. I have to say, I actually know, and I hadn't seen this full video before, so I only just saw his question. What he's saying about 2 fingers in the nose, this is actually also a Dutch expression. So I don't know if it comes from French and we stole it, or maybe it's originally Dutch and the French stole it from us. We say met 2 vingers in je neus. And basically what it means is, if you stick 2 fingers in your nose, you can't use that hand, right? So it's a way of saying, I can do it with one hand, which is the same as saying, this is something I can do very easily. So that's what it means. That's where the expression comes from. It's basically saying you can do it with one hand. So that's at least one mystery solved here. As far as the J2, it is interesting that we're having so many failures, but we are having the failures all on the redesigned or newer boats. So I think that Conrad is actually at a pretty low risk of having this problem, because he doesn't have foils or a very much changed hull shape, like for example Jean Le Cam also has. And my personal feeling, but this is by no means anything scientific, is that when you have a new design, and especially because of the length of the Vendeeglobe, it is the longest race that the Amacas have done now, the longest race in the entire circuit, obviously, that's why it's a Vendeeglobe. So that means that weak points are gonna get shaked out, right? And because they've changed so much about the design, but the mast has stayed one design, the stays have stayed the same thickness, same specs, etc. So on that regard, nothing has really been adjusted. And I think what we're seeing now is just that the added shocks, the added stress of the redesigns, so that's hull shape, increased foil shapes and power, speed, which also creates the vibration. And don't forget, especially for the forestay, whenever you slam the boat and you go from high speed to low speed, what happens is the mast sort of veers forward as it's braking and then breaks back, right? So that means that especially the forestay goes for the backstay also, but there's 2 of those, so that's kind of half the load. But the front stay is going to constantly take that mass movement, especially as it reflects back, and it's going to be sort of shock pulling on the front. So I think that probably goes a long way to explaining why there are so many problems with that. So that brings us to our final video update before we get to the technical analysis today, and that is from Ollie. Here we go.
Hello everyone, it's Ollie on board Tour Good on day 70 of the Vendeeglobe. Now, we received a lot of questions and interest about my sleep regime on the boat and how I actually sleep. So today, rather than talking about the weather and the sailing, I would like to show you my sleep setup and how I do it. So as you come into the boat, I basically have two options to sleep on. I have my beanbag. That's a very comfortable place to rest when I have to be always ready and alert when the conditions are a bit challenging. But what's much nicer is I have my bunk here. I can adjust the angle of the bunk depending on the heel angle, and if it's rough I kind of wedge myself in so I can't fall out of the bunk if the boat gets thrown around. And then I have still now I'm using my Southern Ocean sleeping bag, which is very warm, multi-layered, waterproof sleeping bag, not with down feathers, but actually it's kind of like a sheep skin. Even if the sleeping bag is damp, it kind of still keeps me warm. I've got my speakers up there in case I want to listen to some music or some audiobooks or podcasts while I try to rest. And what's also very important, I have a remote for my autopilot always next to me. So if I have to react in a hurry, I can do this out of my bunk. Now, when I'm lying in there or sitting on my beanbag, I have a good view of my computer and all my instruments, so I can always see what's going on. Now, up here we have my sleep alarm. I can set the alarm to however long I want, maximum 60 minutes. I can then lie down and I can sleep. And once the alarm time is up, it's a very loud alarm that I can only silence by getting up and pressing this button. That's it from me. I'm wishing you all a great weekend. I'm enjoying some nice sailing conditions here. The wind is filled in again, and I'll give you an update again soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so that's the update from Ollie. And I see that there are actually some questions about the situation, what happened with Boris. Maybe some of you missed the video that I showed 2 days ago during the live show finished. But we have some really cool footage from on board with Boris, how he was solving things. So I can show you that again, actually. Here we go, for those who missed it.
So this is how the foil is attached now. There's 3 ropes. 3 directions. So first rope is this one here, the green, becoming red, going all the way to the foil. Then this red, becoming black, going down there, all the way to the foil. And then this rope here, this one, turning black here, going forward with the purchase system attached to the J15, going all the way to the foil.
Yeah, so that was the update from Boris, was from yesterday, actually. Interesting. Whenever you see the sun on the horizon around the equator, it always looks a certain way. Like it looks very different here in Holland. And I remember when I was living in Asia, I used to be kind of around the equator and see that same sun. And now whenever I see a video or a picture that is of like the sunset around the equator, for some reason I was like, yeah, that's around the equator. It has a certain color or something. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Hey, I hope you're ready for the tactical analysis. And if you want to check that you're ready for the tactical analysis, make sure that you've liked the video. Because now that we're live, I can actually ask you live to do that. So make sure to like the video. This is the moment to like the video. Our very first live update. And here we go. Let's dive right in. So we don't have any more fleets on the front because they've all finished, obviously. So if we dive all the way in the front, we see that Sam Goodchild, we saw him earlier in the update, has earthed out a small lead. And when I say small, I mean 1.6 nautical miles. So it's not a lot at all. You can see that they're in the very light winds, irking their way to the end of the Azores High here. And it's really about whoever gets in the wind first, because they're going to have a very good chance to just make that run up and actually win fourth place. So you can imagine that the stakes are high and that both gents here in front are fighting tooth and nail, maybe even blocking each other at times if they get the chance to make sure that they are the first to kind of get through. But right behind there, of course, Spamalot, also still in contention, could get a little bit lucky and get ahead of, maybe one of them and still get into a fifth place if he's a bit lucky. Behind there, Nicholas Limven, of course. We have also Justine Metro and Thomas Rouillant, kind of on an equal footing there. And Justine in a bit more wind. I told you earlier that I thought that both Boris's course and Thomas Rouillant's course were a little bit too much to the west, let's say, if you asked me. I didn't really know why they did that. I still don't quite understand. But of course, we understand now why Boris has fallen back even more, because he was kind of very close to Thomas Rouillant 2 days ago. But this is purely because of the foil problem that he's fallen back now even more. And we do have to remember that Thomas is sailing without a J2. Not that he would need it right now, but he doesn't have it for the latter part. And that means that both Clarice and Benjamin Dutroux are now actually very close to Boris. if we look at their speeds for a second, we see Boris 8.4 over the last 4 hours. And we see Clarice and Benjamin doing 15.5. Same for Samantha Davis. I guess she was working on a little bit damage there also. But last hour, she's also done 14 knots. And they've got good wind now, so it stands to reason she will keep doing that. So if it keeps going like this for Boris, that's going to be very unfortunate. But I think he will probably fall back to 13th place or so, very likely. And a bit fortunate, there is a lot space there. So I think if Boris plays his cards guide, gets through the Azores High, he probably can finish, let's say, 14th or 13th and stay ahead of the rest of the entire fleet because they're still quite far behind and still in relative light winds, relatively patchy. We saw that Conrad here had some good wind, but it's like 10 or 12 knots. Right, so it's not like super lots of wind, but it's a good amount, let's say. They're doing good speeds, 10 knots here for Conrad. We see everybody doing around 11, 10 knots or so. Some a little bit higher, like 14 here for Damien's again, but no like 24 knots or anything like that. So that's good. Then we have Ellen Rora and Jean Le Cam. Of course, Jean Le Cam with damage now fixed. You saw it in the video, but yeah, he probably can't use the J2 full power. And he probably also can't maybe put his bigger sails up in a bit more on the stronger side of the wind. So he has to be really careful with his mast now because it is a fix. So it's definitely less strong than it originally was. So he probably won't be able to push, the polar, the numbers on his boat to 100%. He's probably going to be sailing at 70 or maybe 80 max or maybe lower. I don't know exactly what numbers he's sailing on now. But it will be something like that. Behind there, we have Garrick Soudet doing nicely for the low wind that he has, 10 wind. And then we see that pretty much everybody around here, very kind of spread out. Let's check here a second. So Sebastian Marcet, we have Louis Duke, we have Kajira Shirishi, Arnaud Boiseris, and Violet Derange, all pretty close together. And yeah, I think they're going to have just as much of a patchy, all over the place time as we've seen everybody do here. Like, even if you just look at the picture, it's just Swiss cheese as far as weather goes. We see Toot Good and Jean Shu stuck in the same corner where we saw Jean and many other people kind of get stuck. So, yeah, that stands to reason that that's going to stay that way. And then all the way in the end, Manuel Cosin, Fabrice Amadeo. Manuel has extended his lead on Fabrice a little bit, not super much, but a substantial amount. And we see Dennis van Wijnberg still all the way in the end, but has gotten a little bit closer. And if we actually look at his routages, let's see if he can actually now maybe finally get close. Yeah, I think it still doesn't look like he's going to get into visual range, but he's getting quite close enough that if they also get a similar stop, let's say, around this area, then I think there's a good chance for Dennis to actually sail and actually see somebody during his Vendeeglobe. So that would be pretty cool for him, I guess. And I guess that's it for the technical update. So, thank you all for watching this first fully live show. I hope that all the sound and everything worked. Let me know in the comments and in the chat if it all worked out. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe. And see you, I think, tomorrow. So see you in 24 hours. Ciao, wolves. Bye-bye.